remember our little Hoover Junior 375. I got given by a chap who wanted to donate it to a museum. The local museum didn't want it, but the lady knew of me, so passed in my way. And well, it's actually come up into a bit of a museum piece. We'll get a bit closer and I'll show you the bits that I have been pointed out at by fellow collectors, and it then need to do some more work on it. And a bit later on in this video it will be ready to see how well it came out. Let's have a look. Yes, hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? Yes, the old Hoover Junior 375. I'm not going to lie, it's not a machine I particularly like. I mean, no offence to this particular example, just in general, mostly because they've got a one-piece handle, so they're an absolute poo head to post. At least with the 119 you get cheaper, you can box it up quite small and post it out relatively easy to somebody else, not quite so much with this one. I guess number one thing that I haven't yet done is put a slightly nicer cable on it, because it is earthed. The original flex was earthed, and this is an earthed piece of flex too, but it's a bit horrible, and I'll be honest, I couldn't quite be bothered to cut it down and strip the plug back out. This is not the plug it came with, but the same model of plug. I probably should either chop this down a bit or put a nicer cable on it, but I haven't got any nicer 3-core cable, and cannot lie, I could do my entire house with this nice long piece of flex. So as much as it takes 25 minutes to take it off the machine, it's not too bad once it's off. Oh, I did that up really tight. Oh no, there we go. Let's take this handle off, because it's probably going to make the rest of everything a bit easier. Oh, we can remove this nice nut and bolt, which came up a treat. That got a nice wire wool. It's cleaned up, and then take out our handle, which, I mean, top bit's perished. We cut that off in the before video. You have to keep this bit though for the switch plate, because it needs to be packed out well enough. And unfortunately, if you know of a nice 375 handle, let me know. But also, it's impossible really. It would be worth more than the machine. But the rest of the paintwork, there was a bit there, but as you can see, I've cut it in with an acrylic pen to the point where my camera can't even pick up what it was. But bar the shiny bit of the paint, you wouldn't tell. So yeah, this is nice original paint underneath all of the filth, so that's pretty good. And yeah, now that I've cleaned up this bit, I can at least hold it. It's fine, it will do the job. So yeah, that was the handle. The bag you have seen. This was the main flipping reason I have actually done anything to this machine at all. It skipped the queue a treat, because it has our lovely reusable bag assembly from the lovely Mr. Jeff, huddled away inside of this bag. The bag has all been washed, so it's been converted, it's been fitted. So this is now, regardless of probably what happens with this machine, my bag. It's still got a bit of dirt in it from the demo, because I haven't got any other H18 bags yet. But it will do well enough for now, especially well enough for now, because the machine doesn't currently work. Let's have a look at the main part. I do fib a little bit. The machine does run, but not well. It starts off slow, then it will speed up, but it runs. It's just sped itself up. I partly know why I have messed with the front bearing, and that is one of the new parts that we have to fit for this machine. But before we fit it, this textured paint on the handle bail, oh, there's a good angle, there we go. This textured mottled effect paint is original Hoover paint. This is what Hoover put on these to start with. The other place it is, if I can just push this down here out the way, is on the plate for the height control. Yeah, that textured black paint is the original paint for these machines. That's pretty nice. I didn't have any other wheels and couldn't get one side off, so we still got a few cracks and dents on our wheel, but otherwise, yeah, it's mint, all nicely tensioned up, all nicely clean. We do have a lot of lovely new parts for this. I mean, we can probably start with those now because some haven't come yet, but some have. We can stitch into the video. I got a cheap acrylic pen, and well, my child's one, and coloured in the rust around there. So although it's, it looks nicer than just being a big frame of rust around there. So that's pretty nice. We can take off our belts because we're not going to need any of. Well, we're going to need some of this actually. We do have a nice new brush roll coming. It is in the post. Although this one wasn't too bad. The one that I found quite cheaply on eBay did look nicer. So we do have some stuff to do on this and replace these. Remember, we chewed them right up when we took the brush roll out originally. But it was a bit silly. Right, the next thing we need to do is to start dismantling it, and we will take out these 4 screws at the back. With the front split apart, we don't need this bit anymore, but again, it's a shame that the paint is so chipped. I know, Peanut, yeah, because it cleaned up very well. Where the paint isn't too bad, like on this side, it looks lovely. It is a classic, iconic design, I can't lie, as much as I'm not a fan of the machine itself. Right, look, you can see where I've used it. This is partly why it's not finished yet, because I have parts that I want to put into this motor. So there isn't a seal here, and we're going to have to recreate this seal with wob. So we shall be doing that later. But for now, what we actually should do, before we go ripping out the armature, is take out the carbon brushes. They're quite low, aren't they? We shall be looking at that later. Hint, hint. Yeah, that's one of the new parts that I have is some carbons. Because although these ones have probably got, 10 or 15 years worth of collector's use left on them, I've got new ones, we shall change them. Then we can remove these 4 screws here. With those screws removed, we can pull out the entire armature and front plate. So that is that, and we do need to come back to this later, but for now we shall put it aside. Yeah, that's where the original seal went, and we need to replace it. Right, the next thing we need to do is, well, several things really. We need to pop off these clips, which I need to try and do without destroying the paint, but if you get behind them, you can open them up and pop them down. I put one there and then one down there. So there are our 2 cable holding clips. We can then pull this up and off. Underneath here are, I'll put that here so you can perhaps see it. There we go. 2 screws like so. These come out, and then we can see some wiring that we can disconnect. Because, spoiler alert, we're taking the coil out. Undo this screw, and then we can have this loose enough to pull back through. This is why I think this machine is earthed, because throughout it you can see little linking straps. There's one here that goes, that earths this front bit to all of this, and then this links to this, which then goes up to the machine. It's a bit weird. I guess you need it. I'm not going to say don't have it earthed, but yeah, that's why I've got an earthed cable on it. Right, with all that removed, there are 4 screws on this plate, which is the coil retention plate. And there we go. It's a lot nicer to do this now than when this was packed full of fluff. Right, I'll not be able to show you this. However, deep inside of there are the coil holders, and those 2 wires that go onto those 2 coil holders need to pop off. And you can, well, I can do it now with my fingers because, it's a bit looser, but if it's just doing it on a machine that hasn't been touched in decades, you are going to struggle a little bit, and we'll need some mechanical assistance. And once they're off, you need to wiggle the whole thing out, bringing this wire with it. Hoping we can just sort of leave it half hanging out without, no, the spring's caught. Bother, hang on. I've got the spring caught around the other earth strap. There we go. So we can now see where we need to go, because what I have from the lovely Mr. Jeff, actually, same person who did the bag conversion, a nice new rear bearing. I don't actually think it needs one of these as such, but he was sending me some other bearings, and literally this was the last one that there was, so I said fine, put it in. Then we can say that we've done all the bearings, because we've already put new brushroll bearings in it before. So that's one tick. We are, spoiler alert, doing the motor bearings now. Those two screws that I've just removed should enable us to push these carbon brush holders out. They certainly went in. They should come out. Oh, so the screw removed, I'm just pushing it gently. Oh, so I'm pushing it gently. Come on. Fine, we'll push you in. But they're off. Then we'll take the 3 screws out to hold the bearing in and be able to take that out. There we go. Very gentle tapping. They're quite tight in the Bakelite, and you sort of want to keep it that way. Yes, they're held in with a grub screw, but you don't want them to be too loose. So we can take those out, and then, yeah, 3 more screws and 1 little metal link cable, which I've now bent out of all recognition. You can get to the last bearing. Ta-da! 1 old rear bearing. I don't think it needed to be changed. There's no play. It's quite smooth. But again, when you're offered a nice, oh, I don't know actually that is. Oh, there is no slop, but it goes into this one a lot easier than it goes into this one. So hey, that is upgrade number 1 to this vintage machine. It's vintage, 1930s, I think, the 375, or 1940s. I should probably check actually before we end this video, because I've got the serial number there and I've got a bit of paper that tells me, because we have a few scenes in this video because we can't go to the end. But I'm now going to put this all back together with the coil back in, this rear bearing, and then we can move on to the next bearing. There we go. By far the worst part is done. You've got to get those clips back onto the carbon holders with basically just your fingers. It's great fun. You can open them out a little bit to help, but they cannot be too opened out because they do need to fit there nicely. So we have all of our stuff into place. We then, oh no, that's not in place. That's not down far enough. Why aren't you down far enough? This is such a horrible job. There we go. Drop right down. That probably would have made it a ton easier. If you have small girly hands, it's a lot of an easier job. Equally, if you're good with the ladies, you might also blag it. Right, so that does need to go back on before it all falls out, because this is what holds it all. And then I'll come back when we're ready to look at the fan bearing. Right, on to our next trick. We're going to hold the fan and the spindle, and it's going to be quite easy because it's not really been run. And we're going to take off this fan spindle, take off this fan, take out all of the little washers like so, and we can try and keep them all together because I can't bother to count them. No other washers in that box, so that's fine. Take out this, and you can start to see where I've messed up a little bit, because I have been into this bearing before. I tried to clean it out, and yeah, I don't think I put the packing back in right. There's a felt packing that runs either side of that bearing, and the whole bearing itself is pretty disgusting. So the second bearing that we have to fit is this one. Don't know if it's genuine, don't really care. It looks about the same. Yeah, it looks very nice. But we're going to need to drill out this bearing and rivet this one to the plate, or, as I'm going to hopefully do, use some genuine Hoover nut and bolt, no, not genuine, sorry, Qualtex Hoover nut and bolt fixings. Let's get drilling. Ew, I didn't quite realise that. I was fighting around that flipping thing as well. How interesting. So yeah, this is actually just our bearing there. so we need to keep that other piece of packing and put it back. Where did I just drop it? We'll find it later. Here. So yeah, then I can clean out this, remove these rivets, the remains of them anyway, and get ready to fit the new bearing back into place. There was this as well, so this goes in there, then this, then the bearing like so. That's very interesting. These are our little fixing doohickeys, and they need to go through here, which means I've got to drill out both of these to a bigger size as well. And before long we have this monstrosity. These little brackets are just a little bit too long. They have to go this way round because otherwise the screw heads catch on the little tiny bit of space you have in between the cooling fan of the armature and the front. But it doesn't really matter because I think all that's going to be hidden underneath everything anyway. All those washers are for is to just pack out that little bit of gap. And I mean, we can almost, in theory, if I get this in here, get this centered up, see that, oh, it's going to spin very nicely indeed once everything is back together, because we are still waiting for some post before we can put all of this back together. Let's wait for that to arrive and then carry on while we're here. Oh, the postman was here and he bought something. So, inside of my box there was this. I like these packs and packs filter boxes. What was in these? Oh no, a hose end, compatible Electrolux 3-lug end. So hey, maybe that's something we need to look at for the future. It looks like a Nilfisk one, but I'd imagine Nilfisk and old Electrolux were about the same. I got a brand new belt spindle because I supported this out because we're about to smash it back together quite fast. Mine was a little bit faded, and although it, again, it's probably got, you know, another 20, 30 years worth of light use left in it. Yeah, they're available. Why not for chasers? I then bought this, which is actually not for this machine and wouldn't fit it anyway, but it came from the same seller. That's for a 612, because spoiler alert, we have another 612 to look at. And then, oh, naked girls on that page, let's not show that. I found this much nicer condition brush roll. It's just not quite as corrosive, although I think our brush strips are better, and it didn't come with end caps, which is why we have some nice new ones. So lots to do, and it's why in the last scene I left this completely apart, because no point putting it back together until I did this. So we want that washer on. Then the only washers in this entire box are for the belt and the fan spindle, so they can all go onto there. Then, oh, I didn't get the fan down. Then we need the fan, which can go onto there very nicely, and then we want our nice new belt spindle. Oh, wow. Oh, why are the threads different? Is there a bit of dirt in it? Or is it a pattern part, which, oh, isn't very good. You see how far I wish to go with screwing this on before it goes really tight, far too close to the end, and come back. Oh, yeah, that's jammed right on there. That's no good, is it? That's jammed completely on there, whereas the original one spins freely all the way down until it then kisses the fan and tightens up. And oh dear, this isn't very good, is it? I don't quite know. I can't even see down it to work out if I just need to drill something out. I might poke around with it, or I might ask for a refund because it wasn't that cheap. We'll see. But for now, we are going to have to keep this. It will have to go again. But hopefully, this is now where I can fit this onto here and then get some silicone sealant out, because I've got to glue, effectively, this all together because I'm missing the original. In fact, I say I'm missing the original seal. Maybe we should try and do things properly, because I've got some foam tape, but I don't know if that will work. But of course, it does get clamped up. Maybe we should try that before I break out the black goo of death. That was far easier than I thought. I mean, it started to come away a bit, literally as we speak. This is the problem that Mr. Jeff is having with the adapters that fit all of this. However, if I stop faffing around and get it actually in, it will hold itself flat. Get into there we go, into that back bearing. So this inner plate does partly push on the foam gasket. Then once that's screwed up and check it spins well at this point, you can see it starting to push the seal away there. But I'm hoping that by the time we stick it onto here, oh yes, it's going to do a good job. It is standing a bit proud, but again, I've got to get all the screws in and do it evenly. I think that might work, and if it does, that's going to save me about 3 days of waiting for glue to dry before carrying on with the video. Fantastic. You can fire it up very quickly. Righty dokey, fully in shot in case it's turned on. Since the last time I applied power to this handle. Let's see. Oh, well, nothing yet. We'll let that all bed in for a second. Oh yeah, I think we should put the dirty air measurements because we can do that now, and I'm going to call that 35 miles an hour, although if you see a dirty fan you can know and see the anomaly, but blimey, ooh, that was excellent. So cool, that is done. Yeah, this is what I mean about the brush rolls. We'll have a closer look at the shells in a second, but we can take out, we'll need the axle, there we go. Don't you get stuck now, horrible old end caps, because we need you, we need the bearing and all of the wobble washers. Oh come on, let's not take forever to do this now. Lovely. And the other wobble washer. There we go. So we need all of that, and we will need the brush strips because, yeah, my ones are just a lot stiffer and better than those ones. So I'm going to swap the brush strips and basically build up our brush roll into our new shell. And I'll come back when we're ready to crack open our nice new end caps. Okie dokie. So yeah, I probably could have spent the time to tap those flat and make them nicer. And I mean, you know, these things aren't getting any younger. You probably should. But Mr. Jeffrey had the answer. So in here are two, oh come on, thread guards. Very specific thread guards because they're very specific to this machine. And we can twist this. And this is going to cure a noise as well. I don't know if you've been hearing it on the camera, but the old brush roll was, oh I should have done that first, was rubbing on everything. So hopefully this will be a lot quieter, and I can eventually get that on in here, this into there, then the wobble washer is still in there, so we can put this end in. Oh come on, you've got to sort of find the end by feel. You can sort of see if you come down and look from the top. Oh come on, that was phenomenally more difficult to line up than the other one. I wonder what's different about this brush roll barrel. There was something getting caught on the inside of it, and even now I'm having to force, I'm hoping it's not bent. Yeah, this bearing isn't just sliding into place nicely. Oh, there it goes. I don't know. We'll soon find out though, because now I can put the other end cap on and we just catch a few threads and then do it. Oh yeah, no, that's not moving at all. Oh, it sort of is. Hang on, let's. I think it just needs to loosen up. We'll soon figure it out, or I need to loosen this end cap, tighten this one down a little bit. Ooh. Hang on. That needs to be free spinning a lot, otherwise we're going to shred our belt. No, sadly, both of the parts that I bought from eBay from a seller who sells a lot of vintage Hoover stuff didn't work. Something, whether I need to do something to my belt spindle, comment down below. Do I chop the end off of it to fit onto this? That could be it. This I think is bent somehow because yeah, it's solid and doesn't spin at all. So the old brush roll is fitted back to the machine, and I think that will do. We can pop on the bag conversion kit that started all of this expense and wasted money like so. Well, they haven't all been wasted. Mr. Jeffrey has been amazing because yeah, the bearings and this bag conversion kit came from the same person. I would like to seal that down, and I think I will do next. But for now, we can have our Hoover Junior 375 running in theory, mechanically, as well as it has done since the day it came out of its box. That's nice. Oh yeah! I mean, it's always, that's it. It's always just going to be a 375, but this one runs remarkably well now. It's holding itself down. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, it is trying to pull itself down. This isn't the correct rug to test it on. What we are going to do is I am going to get out the magic glue because this is the last thing. That's what I was trying to do whilst I was just filming that video there. Test for airborne. All around here. Test that there's nothing there. But there's a load, there's a load coming. So, I am going to effectively glue this. We're going to hope that the belt is going to be okay. Glue this to there, let that set, and then we can film the final scene with some deep pile carpet because yeah, this hates this rug completely. It probably is picking stuff up, but it doesn't feel like it's doing anything. It needs a deeper pile or different carpet altogether. So let's get it finally finished and ready for its final demonstration. We are wobbed up. Oh, now I've got it all over my fingers. Some nice pudding plastered all over there. So the idea is that the stuff around the edge, oh, why are you not focusing on anything else but the background? Focusy focus. There we go. So all the stuff around the edge is going to seal to the machine. But what I then realised is that this plate fell off. This is going to be the perfect time for me to effectively just stick it down there, like so. This should be plentiful. Then we can take our plate, check it is the right way round, and effectively stick it to this. And whenever the belt needs replacing, we are going to have to prise this cover off. But that's almost the idea that I want. I think I want that to be as airtight as possible so we can see just how good this might be. We might even take off that bag and just have or I'll open it and we'll just have the fill assembly itself. Right, come back when this is dry and we'll test it out. Don't think we even need to wait for it to dry. I've just been playing with it. So, you feel it? Can you see it trying? Listen to the airflow. It's great. If I take this bag off, don't forget this bag is a bit full. There is no change. You'll hear it clog up. Can you see that? Nothing at all. Oh, fantastic. I mean, I'm going to let that just skid over a bit because I don't want what's going to happen next to stick to it. But that is very promising indeed. It's a little while later now filming this scene, and this has been used upstairs quite a bit actually. That you can see some fluff starting to build up in there, but again, it leaks 100% less than it does before. But we have one more thing to do to this machine, and it's something that very recently came. Thank you very much to the person who sent it. Oh my goodness, this is getting quite full now. There we go. Just pop all the dirt down the bottom, and that'll be good to go again. Yeah, we need, well, I need, to strip this denim, literally just a pair of jeans, isn't it? Bag off of there, because we have been sent this original Hoover Junior 375 bag. You know, it's a 375 because this is the clip that clips onto there. Very nice indeed. It's seen some repair. Sadly, it's had a patch there, and it's had a complete new stem, although that's actually very nicely done. But again, in normal circumstances, this bag would be scrap or display only because, of course, it leaks a lot of air. However, with this kit, it should be okay. I'm going to come back when it's all swapped over and we'll get it fitted to the machine. Through no real fault of any of the kit, that was an absolute pain in the bum. This repair here, although very well done, is just a little bit too small for the hose. The hose is literally in there as it can be while still screwing in, and yeah, it's probably the worst machine to do any of this to, but it is done and it does work. So, once the machine's on, it's okay. That there is as good as a lovely Hoover Junior 375. I think you're going to get in 2025. I think I have got quite lucky with this machine. This is in as good of a condition and is certainly a usable daily, especially now it's got an inner bag. Then that hose just wants to come up to there, so you have all that space. But it's still a fantastic conversion. So, there we go. I have a fully restored, fully refurbished Hoover Junior 375. What shenanigans should we get up to with it? Do let me know in the comments down below, but I figure we'll be keeping it around for a bit. Never know, I can use it now. I have been using it upstairs. It is very nice. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. And I, and this, will see you soon. Bye bye.